Dan Pariser, and today we're going to talk a little bit about knives and the minimum set that you really should have if you're going to do any serious cooking in the kitchen. This is my knife set. It came together with the wooden block. It's a moderately priced set, but one with good steel in the knives. You want a couple of basic knives. This is my all-purpose tool. This is a 10-inch French chef's knife. It has a straight top, a thick blade that goes all the way through the handle, which you can see it come through the handle with the rivets, so it's always going to stay firm and solid. It also has a bit of a curve to the bottom of the blade called a rocker, so that we can rock back and forth and chop as we do. The next blade that you should have in your basic kit is this. Similar to the French knife, but long and thin. This is a slicing blade, mostly used for meats. Another useful tool is very simple, a serrated bread knife for pastries or anything that's hard that you don't want to press down on while you cut. A small utility knife for small paring jobs, for cutting the core out of an apple or the peel off the apple. I have a cleaver as well because it came with the set, but it's not really that necessary. I don't do a lot of heavy butchering. But what I do use is a small, thin-bladed boning knife. This is very useful for getting the meat off a chicken, off a turkey, or if I want to bone a ham. The final item that came with the set is this. This is called a steel, and we'll discuss its use later, but it helps keep your knives sharp. So there's your basic set, and they will cover pretty much every normal cooking task you have in the kitchen. The most important thing, safety-wise, for your knives is to keep them sharp. Short of boiling oil, the most dangerous thing you can have in the kitchen is a dull knife. That's because when you try to use it, what you tend to do is overexert yourself, and you try to push harder and harder and harder to get through whatever you're cutting, and the knife will slip, and the next thing you know, it will be your finger rather than the food that will be cut. So let's discuss sharpening for a moment. Every knife, no matter how sharp it is, on a microscopic level, is actually a saw. There are little tiny teeth caused by the sharpening process, and it is that sawing action that actually cuts the food. But because the teeth are so small and so microscopic, no matter how hard your steel is, the teeth will get bent, either hitting the cutting board or just cutting the food. So what you need to do before you use a knife is to realign those little teeth. And that's what the steel is for. It does not sharpen the knife. All it does is realign those teeth. Take your knife, hold it at approximately a 30-degree angle. Don't worry, this isn't critical. Pushing not very hard, run it all the way up the edge of the knife, the edge of the steel. And then do the same thing in the other direction. Don't pull it towards you. You'll end up in the emergency room. Push, push, push. 4 or 5 times on each edge of the blade, and that will be enough. If your knives get dull, you have to actually go to a sharpening system. I have a few here that you can buy at cooking stores or hardware stores. These two have 2 pieces of carbide set in a V pattern. Those pieces of carbide are so hard that they will actually remove metal from the edge of the blade, and that's what sharpening is. This small one is used for light sharpening. Put the blade in the notch and just run it along. You can do this with the blade on the counter if you're a little afraid of it. This one will give you a little heavier pressure. Put it on the counter and hold it down. It looks more dangerous than it is because this plastic will protect your fingers. But simply pull the blade through the carbide. If you need heavier sharpening than that, you have to go to something that has a stone in it. A stone very much like this one, which is used for sharpening woodworking tools. But this has two stones in a handle with plastic guides on each side. You run the knife down one side, then the other side, and the guides will give you the correct angle. Again, half a dozen times on each side. Don't push very hard. Let the stone do the work, and you'll have a sharpened knife again. Once a year or so, you should take your knives to a professional knife sharpener and have him do the work. What he will do is take a stone very much like this, some honing oil, he'll oil the stone, and then again, with the same sort of wiping motion, he'll sharpen the blades. But for normal everyday use, a few times on the steel, and you're set to go. The easiest cutting technique is to take food, whatever it may be, and work at two 45-degree angles, one from the left, one from the right, and that will give you a square cut. So I have the celery at this 45-degree angle, the knife at this 45-degree angle, and I'm going to guide it with my knuckles, not my fingertips. Curl them underneath and run the edge of the side of the knife against the knuckles. The food stays where it is, your hand moves. Since it's really a saw, we can't just push down. We'll eventually get through it because these knives are sharp and celery is not too hard. But again, we tempt fate, if we were to do this with anything harder, trying to push it. Knives want to slice. So for this knife, we push away from ourselves, like that. If we were using the slicing knife, and this were meat, we would tend to pull it towards ourselves. And those are the two basic cuts that everyone needs in the kitchen.